What's up, guys? It is the middle of the week and I have another tackle tip for you guys. Hopefully all the tackle tips so far have been helping you catch some fish over the weekends. But today we're going to be talking about fishing with jigs. Jig fishing, the trailers that you're going to use for the jigs and all those other bits and pieces. Now, if you haven't jumped over and watched my Glenbourne videos, the practice video for the Australian Open and the actual tournament video for the Australian Open, maybe go and watch them so you can understand a little bit more about the jig fishing and some of the techniques that I use. I'm not going to be going over the techniques, I'm just going to be going over basically what trailers and some other little tips and tricks to help you catch some more fish. So let's dive down and we'll dive into it. Alright guys, here we are with the up and close. Now I've just taken a few out of my jig box to show you. Basically these are a few of the different options that Simon gives you over at OzJig with the Jig Pros. Now I've got the Arky jig. Now this Arky jig, if you can see the shape of the head, it's a little bit more streamlined. So this is basically what you would want to throw in some more dense cover. So if you're throwing into heavy timber, even some weed, stuff like that, it's not going to get hung up as easy as what a footy jig would. So basically the heavier cover, the Arky jig is probably a little bit more what you would want, because then it's going to fall down. The football head's not going to get hung up on any little legs in the timber. So this is the Arky jig. All of these, I believe the footy jigs and stuff, you can have the option of running it with a weed guard or without. I prefer with the weed guard. It just gives me a little bit more reassurance as to not getting snagged, because as a fisherman there's nothing more annoying than running into a snag, but the option is there. Now, talking about the footy jig. This is the football jig. The hook is a little bit bigger than the Arky jig. So again, you can use the Arky jig for a lot more of the finesse type presentation. You can run a smaller plastic off there. There is a sizable difference between the two hooks here. So the football head, named obviously because the head looks exactly like a football. So this is going to stand up a little bit more proud on the bottom. It's going to stand more upright. So what I like to throw the football jig around is probably more on flats. If the fish is sitting on the bottom, there's not that much cover around, so you're not going to risk getting it hung up in the timber. Not going to risk getting it hung up in the weed or the lily pads. This football jig is probably what I tend to fish, maybe around some rockier drop-offs and stuff like that, where it can just sort of sit and hop along those rocks. Is definitely what the football jig is a little bit more designed to fish around. I've also given you an example of the other type of hook. So this is the bent style hook that Jig Pro gives you. I actually prefer the round ones like this fella here, but the option is there. Whatever you guys prefer, he can customize it to anything you like. Again, with the weed guard, it's a dual weed guard. Now what I actually do like to do is I like to trim my weed guards down a little bit. So I actually do trim off one or two of these legs. Don't be afraid to start cutting at your lures, guys. Like, you don't need to keep them perfectly and run them straight out of the box. You can customize it to any which way you like. I actually prefer to cut a few strands off each one. It just makes it a little bit softer on the hook set. So I trim a few of these off. I just cut them with scissors straight down to the bottom. And then I actually like to fan my weed guards out. So I've not actually used this one, but this will give you a bit more of an example of what I talk about. So this is a little bit more fanned out. You just spread it. Some people prefer it, some people don't. I just like to fan it that way. It's nice and soft, but just gives me more fail-safe basically, so I don't get hung up on any timber, any snags or whatever. This guy, again, is another more finesse style. So it's a football head, but it is much, much smaller. This guy is a 1/2 ounce, this one, and it's actually my favourite colour. This is a brown and purple. This is my favourite colour in the Jig Pro range. I love it. There's so many natural colours, your browns, purples, blues, whatever, that matches so great with this colour, guys. So if you want this, I actually prefer to run it in a 1/2 ounce. It is the brown and purple, both in the Arky and the football jig favourite colour. This guy here, football jig again, but it is a much more finesse presentation. So this is a 1/4 ounce. A lot of Simon's jigs, they range from 1/4 ounce, 3/8, 1/2 ounce. I think there's some 3/4 ounce weights in there as well. So again, not only can you customize the weed guard with or without, not only can you customize the bent hook or the round hook, but you can also customize the weight that you like. So there's a bunch of weights on the website. It gives you the options there. I think the weights are different depending on whether you go an Arky style or a footy head style, but this is the smaller one that I can show you guys. Much more finesse, much smaller. You can run a smaller plastic off there. You can even trim some of these top strands off here of the skirt to make it more finesse again. Now, we're going to talk about jig trailers. There is millions of jig trailers that you can use for jigs. My favourite, obviously, is the Keitech Crazy Flappers. I am sponsored by Keitech, but just the range of colours and the finesse presentation that these plastics have, I think is fantastic for a lot of the jigs that we have here in Australia with the smaller hooks. So these guys are the 2.8 inch, which is great. It's actually one of my favourite colours in the electric smoke craw. This colour, you can't really, it doesn't do it justice in the light, but when you get it in the sun, it actually matches perfectly with freshwater shrimp. I've pulled up freshwater shrimp before and they match this colour so perfectly well. Again, if you want more information on these Keitech, jump over into the description box down below this video and you'll be able to get onto the link, jump over to the Keitech website and check it out for yourself. Now, it's not just limited to plastics we've got in Australia. I use a lot of American plastics. I've got some Yum, Craw Pappy, whatever you want to call it. These guys, they look like our yabbies here. They're perfect, bunch of different sizes. I've got some Scott Martin Keeghan baits. These guys are actually really big. I do cut a little bit of these off, but I'll get to that in a minute. You've got your Z-Mans as well. There's a few different types in the Z-Mans. You've got the Turbo Craws. You've got the TRD Bugs, which are actually brand new. These are great, a really good finesse plastic to run on your jigs. We've got some different ones from Keitech. We've got little spiders in the 3.5 inch, so it's actually like a double-sided type deal. You can pick which way it wants to go. I prefer to run it with these legs at the back here sticking up, because then when it sits down, you've got your legs sticking up, it looks like a craw or a creature style bait on the bottom. But don't be afraid to run curly tail plastics that look like worms on the back of your jigs as well. I've done that. It just depends on what the fish want on the day. But don't be afraid to throw curly tails on the back of jigs. Don't limit it to your creature style baits. So don't limit it to your craw style baits that have the claws that stick up. You never know. You might be surprised. Throw a curly tail on there and it might get nailed as well. Obviously you got your Z-Man grubs. I use the Keitech Mad Wag minis. Comes in a handful of sizes as well, but these are great. It's got a massive tail on the back, so when it sits down, that tail is constantly moving with the moving water, and it is an excellent trailer to throw on a jig too. So don't limit your choices into just creature baits. You can use whatever you want, muck around, experiment, see what works for you. Alright, now last but not least with jig fishing. To me, I find it is the most important thing that I can do when I'm rigging trailers on jigs. For me, sometimes depending on the size of the plastic that you're going to run on your jig, if you're running a more finesse style plastic, so I've got the Z-Man TRD 2.75 inch bugs. Now, this skirt, for me, I find it really important that this skirt cannot come past the legs of whatever bait that you've got on there. So for example, I've cut this down so you can see that the legs here of my bait are coming out past this skirt. What I don't want is I don't want my plastic to be inside here. I don't want the legs to come, I don't want the skirt to come past these legs, because then for me, when I'm trying to do these subtle sort of hops along the bottom, I don't want to sacrifice the legs of this bait getting caught up in the skirt and sacrificing the movement of these legs. I want these legs running freely in the water so that they can do what they do to make the fish bite it. I don't know if everyone does this, but for me, I find it a really, really important thing to do. No matter what you throw on, don't be afraid. If you're throwing something like this, a Keeghan bait, which is like a 4.5 inch plastic, I'll actually cut these in half. So these ribs here, I'll just get the plastic, run it up there. You don't want a massive plastic. I mean, you can experiment. Obviously, you don't want like a 6-inch plastic hanging off the end of a little jig. So make sure you sort of keep it within reason. I tend to fish a lot more finesse with my jigs here, depending on the day. You can upgrade, downgrade on the size, but for me, around that 3-inch profile, like again the Z-Man ones, these are a 2.75, the Turbo Craws are 4-inch, so I actually do cut them down. So I find that anything around that 3-inch profile, again this is a 2.8, so really close to that 3-inch profile. I find that most of the jigs that I am throwing around, no matter what weight from the Jig Pro range, that 3-inch size plastic matches up perfectly. But you do have to trim the skirt. So this is untrimmed. This is a lot more finesse, so you actually might be able to get away. But some of the 1/2 ounce and 3/8, it's really easy. You let it dangle, you put the plastic there, and then you just grab the skirt, cut it straight across with scissors. So pretty much that is how it looks. You got a little bit of overhang from the legs. That skirt will finish up here. To me, that's the perfect presentation of a jig, and it allows these to run freely, not get caught up in the skirt, so you're not going to sacrifice movement. And again, if you want to trim off some of these ones up here, up the top here, to make it more finesse again, go for it. Just experiment. Don't be afraid to customize your lures, guys. You don't have to run them exactly how they are out of the box. Customize them, play around, experiment, see what works. You might be surprised. Alright guys, well that is that. Hopefully those tips help you catch a few more fish on jigs. If you've never thrown a jig, pick one up. It's a really simple way of bass fishing, really. It's just super finesse, really easy to master, because half the time if you throw it into a tree, the fish usually smash it on the way down. So hopefully those tips and tricks help you out. If they do, make sure you drop some comments below. There is also, in my description box underneath, there is links to everything I've been talking about today, to all the plastics. There's a Kitech link down there. There is a Jig Pro link down there to jump over onto ozjig.com and find out where you can get all of the jigs that I'm talking about. They come in a bunch of different weights, different customizable options, guys. Whether it be weed guards, the footy jig, arky jig, everything you want to customize, Simon over at OzJig can do that for you. So make sure you jump over to his website. It's free shipping, 50 bucks and over. So if you guys order 50, 60, 70 bucks worth of stuff, it is free shipping. So that is a lovely, lovely little bonus that Simon's thrown in there as well. But guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give me the thumbs up so I can keep on bringing videos like this to you. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, guys, I've been harping on, I'm going to keep on harping on. Make sure you subscribe, tell all of your friends to subscribe to my channel. It's free, it doesn't cost anything, it's literally click the subscribe button, bang, you're subscribed. But what it helps me do is keep on bringing videos like this to you, because that's what it's all about. I love doing these videos, guys, so the more subscribers I have means the closer I am to making money off YouTube. So that means I don't have to work. This can be my job. There can be more videos of me every week, which is sick. But hopefully everything I've talked about helps you guys. While you're there, jump over onto my Facebook and Instagram, Keeghan Painter Fishing. Shoot me a follow over there. That'd be really appreciated. And guys, one more thing. Simon has been ever so grateful from OzJig. He's given me a little giveaway for you guys. I'm going to go over this on Friday, so make sure you guys are watching this Friday to find out some more details on the giveaway, but I'll give you a sneak peek. This giant bag of jigs right here, this giant bag of jigs, all of these could be yours, but that's all you're going to get. I'll go through them more on Friday, but there's a lot of jigs in there, guys. There is definitely easily, I would say over $100 easy worth of jigs in there. So guys, if you're interested in winning this giveaway, make sure you are watching this Friday for details on how to enter. It will be running for a week, but I'll go over more of that on the Friday video. So that wraps this up. Get out, throw some jigs around, be watching Friday for your chance to win some free gear. That's it for me. I'm out.